my channel, welcome back to another video. I'm Jessie and you're watching. Welcome to my September TBR. As you can see, I am in a new location. This is actually the very first time that I'm filming in my new house. For those of you who are not aware, I moved out of my studio apartment into a 2-bedroom home. I'm currently in the middle of filming a moving vlog. You are going to see a bunch of vlogs from me centering around the move as well as redecorating. I am blessed in order to have a filming room slash office in this home, so that's what this is. This is not going to be my official background, but this is going to be my background while I wait for my bookshelves to arrive in the mail. Thank you so much for all of the really touching things that y'all have said, all of the encouragement that you've given me over on my Instagram as I've been navigating this really stressful time moving, but I'm having a blast. I absolutely love the new house and I cannot wait to do a house reveal. But in the meantime, I did film a apartment tour just showing the space that I was exiting. So I will leave that link down below so that you can see what my apartment looked like. And then there's going to be a bookshelf installation video that's going to be part of the moving series, as well as a home decorating and a home tour video. So you're just going to see lots of content surrounding my move and me getting settled into my new home. And I'm so very excited about that. I just have to talk about these earrings that I picked up yesterday at one of my favorite vintage stores. These earrings are actually made by a local crafter and they're actually self-defense earrings. The ends of these are incredibly sharp and the purpose of them is if you are being attacked or threatened, you can pull these out and
stab somebody in the eye.
I hope that I will never have to use these earrings for self-defense, but I feel so much safer knowing that I have them. And I just wanted to bring that up in case any of you are interested in getting any self-defense jewelry. I'm sure there's tons of self-defense jewelry on places like Etsy and Instagram. I really dig these earrings and they're
not only deadly, but cute.
I cannot wait until this room is set up. Literally, this room is going to be dedicated to nothing but reading, filming, and content creating, and I'm just so freaking excited. As far as my reading plans for this month, I have a lot of plans. September is a really busy month in the bookish community because it is Latinx-a-thon. It is Latinx Heritage Month, and as a Latinx person, as a very proud Latinx person, I'm so excited to be participating in Latinx Heritage Month this year. This month, I would really love to continue trying to incorporate Indigenous literature. I, of course, will be centering Latinx works as well as kind of spooky, creepy, atmospheric reads because I'm absolutely in the mood.
It is the friggin' season.
So without further ado, let's get right into the TBR. Quick Jessie's Deck of TBR update. I can now proudly tell y'all that the deck has been finalized. Y'all have been so patiently waiting for my TBR game to go on sale, and I can finally tell y'all that the cards were completed this month. The artist that I have commissioned to complete this project finished the cards, which means we can now look into production. So by this time next month, you will have all of the details. We'll have a firm date as to when my Jessie's Deck of TBR cards will be on sale. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with my TBR cards, this is a card game that I created in order to help me read inclusively and creatively. So each of these cards has a different creative reading prompt on it, as well as some artwork associated with that prompt. I know so many of y'all are really excited about getting your own deck. The artist that I've commissioned for this project let me know today that she is completely finished with the artwork. I'm so excited that the cards are done. I can't wait to show y'all the artwork. It is absolutely phenomenal, and to reveal the artist. So this month you will get to see a sneak peek of the art that she has created. You'll find out who the artist is, as well as a firm launch date and how to get your hands on my Jessie's Deck of TBR for those of you who are interested. So this month I just went ahead and picked 3 cards from my deck that I'm really excited to get to. Last month I pulled the religion card, read a book with a Jewish protagonist, and unfortunately the book that I selected I thought had a Jewish protagonist, but it actually didn't, so I figured I would just save the card for this month. And the book that I am choosing in order to satisfy that prompt is none other than If You Come Softly by Jacqueline Woodson. This this is a classic piece of young adult literature, and it is this really beautiful romance between an interracial couple. She's Jewish and he's Black, and despite their cultural and ethnic differences, they form a very powerful bond. This book is supposed to have some of the most amazing writing that YA has ever seen. Jacqueline Woodson is an incredible author. I need to read more of her work. I absolutely loved her memoir, and this 20th anniversary edition is just too gorgeous for me not to read. Now, for the month of September, I would love to make sure that I am centering Indigenous and Latinx voices in my reading. So I have a stack here of books that are written by Latinx or Indigenous authors, and I'm so freaking excited to get to them. The first book that I'm going to be reading in the month of September is Love Beyond Body, Space, and Time, and this is a Indigenous LGBTQ science fiction fantasy anthology. One of the things that I'm really excited about regarding this book is the representation for two spirit characters. One of the stories is about a trans woman who is attempting experimental treatment. Another story centers young lovers who have to maintain their love throughout the boundaries of space and time. These stories combine things like magic and machines. I literally cannot wait to see what Indigenous authors are putting forward in the SFF genre. And honestly, I've heard nothing but great things about this anthology. It is really short. It's only 114 pages long, so I will be able to breeze through it. Jewel Gomez is a Black and Indigenous author, and this is a classic piece of lesbian vampire fiction as well as horror noir. Now, I decided to select this book for my Jessies Deck of TBR card, the Seance card, which says to resurrect a book from the dead, read a backlist title that few people still talk about. So this book came out in the 90s. You will see it making the rounds every now and again, especially among queer booktubers and booktubers who love paranormal storytelling. What I'm really excited about is that this story begins in 1850s Louisiana, where our protagonist escapes slavery and then learns about freedom while working in a brothel. I think it's so important to have representation for sex worker characters in literature, but I've heard that this book explores so many topics such as race relations all the way to pleasure politics and queerness, and I'm highly excited to read a good, well-written vampire romance. Maybe some of y'all should be reading this instead of Midnight Sun.
I don't know, it's just a suggestion.
Shut up, Jessie. You've literally made an entire video talking about how excited you were to read Midnight Sun, so don't act brand new now. Another book that I would love to get to for Latinx Heritage Month is The House on Mango Street. I'm really excited about this because it is one of Starla's favorite books, and I trust Starla with my whole heart and soul. This is a piece of short fiction that is told in a series of vignettes, which is one of my favorite types of storytelling. I love snapshots into a character's perspective or life, and then having to kind of put together the pieces for myself. Something about that kind of detective work I find really interesting. I think I enjoy it because it means that I have to work even harder to relate and empathize, and it's a lot harder to dissect a novel when you are given less information, less words, less of a page count, and I find that really enjoyable. Plus, I've just heard such incredible things about it. And it's all about a young Latina girl who is growing up in Chicago. This is a staple book in Latinx literature. You will find this book in high school classrooms all the way up to college university courses. And I'm just so excited to finally be freaking reading it. Another book that I want to get to for Latinx Heritage Month is Sabrina and Corina. This is a short story collection following Latinx characters of Indigenous ancestry, and it centers women specifically, women across the Indigenous Latinx diaspora. I have heard such amazing, beautiful things about the prose, and honestly, the cover it tells me everything that I need to know about this book. I've been wanting to read it since it came out last year, and I can't wait to finally be getting my hands on it. I'm excited that a lot of the books that I've selected for my TBR this month are kind of quick, just because with me moving and getting things set up and organizing, it'll just be so much easier for me to kind of blow through some short fiction this month and to just give myself a little bit of a break. But these are books that I'm actually genuinely excited to be engaging with. I'm still gonna dissect them the way that I dissect my novels. Just because they're quick reads doesn't mean that I'm not going to pour my heart and soul into understanding and empathizing with them and dissecting them with the level of care that they absolutely deserve. But one thing that I'm really excited about regarding this collection is that it centers Indigenous Latinas. There are so many issues that Indigenous Latinas face that we don't often talk about in the mainstream, such as higher rates of sexual assault and so many other issues. I have not seen one bad review. I don't think I've seen anybody give this book under 4 stars. So I think that I'm going to love it. And the last book that I would like to read for Latinx Heritage Month is Gods of Jade and Shadow by Silvia Morena Garcia. This is described as an evocative and moving Indigenous fairy tale. Rebecca Rowan Horse literally said that it is filled with quiet moments of vulnerability and honesty, which is absolutely everything that I'm looking for in like an adult fantasy book. Anyway, this is a feminist coming of age story that is set during the jazz area.
That's not what I was trying to say.
I was trying to say the jazz age. Look, this is why I'm a booktuber and not a music tuber, okay? Our protagonist, Cassiopeia, wants more from her life. She occupies a lower station in society and cleans homes for a living, but she's always dreaming about more. And in this book, she ends up finding a curious wooden box in her grandfather's room, but upon opening it, she mistakenly frees the Mayan god of death.
But your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
This god entices her to help him regain his throne and take it back from his treacherous brother. And in Gods of Jade and Shadow, the two of them are trying to navigate the underworld. One of my favorite tropes in all of fiction is when gods are main freaking characters. I love hyper powerful characters. I love ancient characters. I love elder characters, which means that I inherently absolutely adore gods. I love godhood. I find demigods fascinating. I'm so excited to dig into the mythology that is going to be centered in this book, and I've heard amazing things about this one from her. I didn't love Mexican Gothic. I will leave the Books That Wasted My Time video linked down below where I ranted about Mexican Gothic, which is her latest work. Unfortunately, it really just didn't do it for me. And Jerry of Onyx Pages said that she absolutely loved this, and I watched her dedicated review and I adored it. So I think that I'm truly going to enjoy this book, especially because Jerry and I tend to have similar thoughts about the books that we read. Now, another book that is on my September TBR is Disfigured. So throughout this book, the author is exploring the role of disabled individuals, disabled bodies within the context of fairy tales. We're going to be looking at characters like the Beast and the Hunchback of Notre Dame. I'm so freaking excited for this book, especially because Kayla of Books and Lala absolutely freaking loved this book. My partner and I were book shopping together and they came across this and it caught both of our eyes immediately, so we might be buddy reading this book together. Personally, I think that fairy tales have so much implication for the real world. The ways that disabled people are represented in our fairy tales definitely translates into attitudes toward disabled bodies in the modern day time. So yeah, I'm really excited about this book. I'm excited to see fairy tale analysis through the lens of disability. This one is approximately 230 pages, so again, this will be another one that I will ideally get through fairly quickly. Now for the only contemporary book that I have on my September TBR, and that is The 30 Names of Night. This book was very recently sent to me by Atria Books, so thank you so much, Atria, for sending me this. And normally I would try and get to the books that I have been wanting to get to for a while as opposed to reaching for a new book, but this one is totally freaking calling to me, and I haven't seen any discussion of this over on BookTube with the exception of Sage. In this book, we are following a closeted trans boy who is Syrian American 5 years after the death of his mother. His mother was killed in a fire under suspicious circumstances, and you know, he still hasn't let that go. But one thing that he takes solace in is painting murals all over the town. One night he comes across this hidden journal of an artist named Layla, and in this journal, Layla reveals the histories of queer and transgender people in his community that he had no idea about. And so in this book, we are kind of following this boy who is coming into himself, trying to figure out what's going on with his mother and grappling with what it means to be trans at the intersection of being Syrian and American and learning how to survive. Now for my final Jessie's Deck of TBR card, I pulled a challenge card for this month, and it is to read 100 pages a day for an entire month. This is a card that I have not yet shown on my channel, and so I felt like this month would be a really good time to bring it up because it will encourage me to get caught up on my reads. I have so many books on my TBRs that I didn't get to. Now, I am nervous about having to read 100 pages a day for an entire month, but I'm really excited for this experiment. I'm filming this on September 4th, so I'm going to be 4 days short, but I still plan on getting caught up on those 300 pages. And I read 100 pages today, so I am on track. Now I want to talk about 3 horror/thriller books that I want to get to in the month of September. The first one is called At Night All Blood is Black, and this is by David Diop. Again, this is a book that I recently acquired, but it's it's just calling to me. It sounds cozy and atmospheric and mysterious and suspenseful, and it just everything that I want in September. Everything that I'm in the mood for right frickin' now. Now, I'm gonna get roasted because I have no idea what this book is about, but in my defense, there's absolutely no description of it on the back, no description of it on the inside. And so I'm going to be going into this one blind, but I'm almost positive that it is in the horror or thriller genre. And even if it's not, I still really want to read it this month. It's 124 pages, so it's in good company because so many of these books are at the 200 page mark. The next book that I'm really excited to read is one that's been on my TBR for a year, maybe 2 years, and that is Theembalmer. Now, in this book, we are following an embalmer and his daughter who is learning his profession, and he is giving her advice and kind of walking her through his experiences being an embalmer, and he's telling her all of these creepy, eerie, and disturbing stories. 2 young women found in the forest, the drowned boy whose organs were eaten by eels, the casket that caught on fire at a funeral. Honestly, that sounds like something that would happen to me, my casket just bursting into flames at my peaceful funeral.
You know, in case anybody's wondering where I'm going when I die.
Then we have P. Jelly Clark's Ring Shout, which I have heard incredible things about over on Instagram. Now, this is a little book that takes place in 1915, right after the infamous Birth of a Nation film. In this book, the Ku Klux Klan are literal monsters, and we are following a woman named Maurice and her fellow resistance fighters. Armed with blade, bullet, and bomb, they hunt their hunters and send the Klan's demons straight to hell. I don't really think I need to comment on this book any further. I have a feeling that this is going to be a 5 out of 5 star read from the synopsis alone. 2 more books left. I would like to continue the Scythe series. I read the first book in the Scythe series and I really enjoyed it, although I did have some criticisms for it. But I'm really excited to be continuing with Thunderhead. This one is a chunky monkey. I think it's about 500 pages long, but I'm not really worried about being able to complete it in time, especially because I'm supposed to be reading 100 pages a day. Now, this is the second book in the Scythe trilogy, and this is a dystopian YA series. It takes place in the distant future where the human race has conquered death. In order to control the growing population, the world's solution is to have scythes, aka designated killers. Scythes are trained in the art of killcraft, and we are following 2 teenagers who are apprentices to be scythes who realize that there is a lot of corruption in the scythedom and set out to topple the corrupt institution. I absolutely adore the trope of characters who are fighting against a corrupt rule. It will never get old for me. This is part of why I loved the Hunger Games so much. I love dystopians. I feel right at home in them, and I'm really excited to see if I enjoy Thunderhead more than I enjoyed the first book, because I really did enjoy the first. And the final book that I'm going to be reading in the month of September, hold your wigs, kids. Burning God. As y'all know, this is the final book in the Poppy War trilogy. Let me know if you would be interested in seeing me do a reading vlog for the last 2 books. I did film a really in-depth review of the first book in the series, and the way that I did that review was by reading 1-star reviews of that book, which I gave 5 stars. I absolutely loved it, so that video will be linked down below. And if for some reason you are not familiar with this series, it is all about a peasant girl named Rin who is tired of her low station in life, so she signs up to become a soldier and finds herself in the middle of this gruesome war. But things become further complicated when she learns that she can manifest power from a god herself. But with great power comes great responsibility, and Rin has to live with the consequences of having great power as well as the consequences of her own actions. So this is a book that is very gory, it's gruesome, there's a lot of violence, there's so many content warnings, including drug use, but it is a series that is incredibly close to my heart. The Burning God doesn't release until November, but I am so freaking excited to read it. I literally cannot wait. I'm going to try and read this as soon as possible. The reason I want to read it this month, besides the fact that I literally can't wait until November to get to it, is so that I will be able to pass this book on to an Own Voices reviewer. But The Poppy War is so far my favorite book of 2020. I will leave the video linked down below where I talk about my favorite books of the year so far. And spoiler alert, that is number one. This book is amazing. The storytelling, the characters, the world building. And I'm really excited for all of the military strategy that I hear is in the second book. I'm not even going to read the synopsis for the back of the book because it's going to be a spoiler, but y'all, I cannot wait. So comment down below if you are interested in seeing a reading vlog for this book or some sort of review. If you made it this far in the video, why don't you drop a sword emoji in the comment section down below or comment with the word sword. I don't know, I'm just feeling feisty. I feel like so many of these books have sharp imagery in them. This is about killing, this is about killing, and I'm wearing deadly earrings, so I just feel like sword is a really good word for the day. And that is gonna do it for this video. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I would absolutely love it if you became a part of my bookish family. All of my social media links will be in the description box below. Stay safe, wear your mask, and I can't wait to see you in my next video.